So the stack of books that I have to show you guys for this video is literally high enough that it's just below the bottom of the camera frame. So I'm going to do my best to make this quick so that it's less painful for all of us as I just talk about all these books. Hello everybody, my name is Danny and welcome back to my channel. In this video we will be talking about the 22 books that I want to read in 2022. I have decided that 2022 will be the year of finishing series. I am making it a priority to finally read the sequels to books that I love that I just haven't gotten to yet. And so for that reason, I will be prioritizing backlist books instead of new releases. So for example, the sequel to The Witch King comes out in 2022, and I obviously really want to read that because I loved The Witch King, but that is not on this list because it's a new release. So even though they are backlist, most of the books on this list are ones that I don't yet own, and so that's probably going to be an issue because if we've learned anything from 2021, if I say I want to read a book that I don't already own, I'm kind of bad at remembering to actually get access to it. So here's hoping I do a little bit better at that in 2022, and when I have the ability to buy books, or maybe I'll get a library card, I don't know, I will prioritize getting a hold of these books rather than things not on this list. So, yeah, it's a long list to go through, so without any further ado, let's start it. So the first item on my list is The Night Country by Melissa Albert, and honestly, it's only number 1 on this list because Hazelwood is part of my background, and so I just thought of it first. I wasn't absolutely in love with book 1. It was good, but not great, but it was interesting enough to make me want to read the sequel, and so that's number 1 on this list. Number 2 is the sequel to Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, Deathless Divide, and I was absolutely amazed by this book. It was so good, and I don't know why I haven't bought book 2 yet. I just kind of suck at picking up sequels, as is the theme of this video. And this book left off on a really big cliffhanger, and there's definitely promise of more adventure to come in book 2. And so I cannot wait to get my hands on it. As we all know, I love zombies, and this is one of the best zombie books I've ever read. Number 3 is Vicious Spirits by Cat Cho, which is the sequel / companion to Wicked Fox. I did mention this in a video recently because I want to get the international version, but this is the version that I have now, and it's still absolutely stunning. I really like learning about like folklore and stuff from cultures that I'm not really familiar with, and I really do like Korean folklore. I think it's super interesting, and so this book was so good, and I cannot wait to pick up Vicious Spirits. Number 4 is Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, which is the sequel to Dance of Thieves, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't remember much of what happens in this book. I remember enjoying it as I was reading it. I just don't really remember specific plot points or even the main characters' names, but I remember wanting to read the sequel, and so I'm putting it on this list. And plus it just has a gorgeous cover, and I think the sequel, it has like the same like foiling and everything, but it's red, which that's gonna be gorgeous on my shelf. Book 5 is Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore, which is the 4th book in the Graceling series. I say series, but they're really more like companions set in the same world. And honestly, when I first heard Winterkeep was like a book coming out, I wasn't too interested in it because I considered this to be a complete series, but recently I've just been thinking about it more, and I do really like the world of Graceling. It's kind of weird, but not in a bad way, and so Winterkeep is one that I want to pick up, even though it's not going to match the editions I have of the Graceling books at all, because I'm assuming the original covers, and when Winterkeep came out they redesigned them, and so it's not going to match, but it's fine. Number 6 is the exception to the rule of finishing out series, and it is Storm of Locusts by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is book 2 in the Sixth World series? Yes, Sixth World. And it's not the last book in the series, but there's no news on when the rest of the books are ever going to come out, so it's kind of like finishing out the series for now. I absolutely adored the first book. I thought it was so amazing and unlike anything I'd ever read before, and I'm really excited to finally get to the second book. I bought this a couple months ago, and so I can read it anytime. So I'm feeling like, because it's one of the few that I already own, it will probably be one of the first things that I check off from this list. Numbers 7 and 8 are the sequels to Caraval by Stephanie Garber, Legendary, and Finale. I owe so much to this book. In 2017, I want to say, 2017, late in the year, I had been in a years long reading slump. I had basically only been reading stuff for school for the longest time and not reading anything for pleasure. And then I saw this on sale on some website, and I'm like, sure, why don't I order it? And I did, and I read it in basically one sitting, less than 24 hours. I just plowed through this, and it's not the most revolutionary book, but it's good, it's fun, and so I want to read the rest of the series. It's been 4 years since I've read this first book, and I finally want to make it a priority to read the rest of the trilogy when I owe so much to this book for pulling me out of that awful reading slump. Numbers 9 and 10 are Hereafter and Endless by Kate Bryan, which are the sequels to Shadowlands. A little bit of backstory: Kate Bryan is the pen name of Kieran Scott, who is an author that I had the opportunity to meet several times throughout high school. I really like her True Love trilogy, and when I bought those, I bought the entire trilogy at once, so I was able to binge them. But when I was meeting her for the promotion of this book, I didn't have that much money on me, so I only bought the first one, and I've regretted it every day since because I just never picked up the rest. When did this come out? Let's see. Ooh, give me a second. Yeah, 2012. It's been almost 10 years since this book came out, and I still have yet to pick up the rest of the series, which is insane because I love this book. It is so good, so weird. It's like paranormal mystery, which isn't a genre that I read very often, but I just really loved this book so much. I'm hoping that I love it when I reread it because I think I was 14 when I got this and I loved it. And I think I've read it maybe twice since then, but not anytime recently. So I'm hoping my opinions didn't change that much. But yes, Hereafter and Endless, definitely high ranking on the list of books that I need to read as soon as possible. Numbers 11 and 12 are The Dead Tossed Waves in the Dark and Hollow Places by Carrie Ryan, which are sequels to The Forest of Hands and Teeth. As we've already mentioned, I love zombies, and this is a zombie book, and it's really good, really dark and atmospheric, and I'm pretty sure the sequels are actually companion novels, which is why I never bothered to pick them up, even though I really like this book, and so I'm going to make an effort to pick them up in 2022. I'm starting to feel extremely repetitive here, so I apologize for that, but we're going to move on. So, numbers 13 and 14 are also like an exception to my rule of finishing out a series of backlist books, and they are The Rot and The Mite by Siri Petterson. They are the sequels to Odin's Child. As you can see, I already own The Rot. I bought it when it came out in English and haven't read it yet. And The Mite is the exception because it doesn't come out until February, I want to say. So it is a new release, but I just love the series so much that I'm prioritizing it. So this is Odin's Child is a book that I read on recommendation from Stieg, and it was so good. And so I want to read the rest of the series. It's got most things that I could ask for in a high fantasy series. It doesn't have all of my favorite things, but like a whole bunch of them. It's such a good book series. Like, I say book series as if I've read more than the first book. The first book is really good, and I'm assuming the rest of them are too. Numbers 15 and 16 are the sequels to Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. They are Soul of the Sword and Night of the Dragon. This is one of those books that I wasn't obsessed with when I first read it, but it was still really good, and I want to read the rest of the series. This, if I'm remembering correctly, is dual POV, and I remember really liking the male POV character a lot more than the female POV character, and so I'm hoping her side picks up a little bit and his side stays as strong. I'm also kind of just talking out of my butt here because I could be completely wrong and this isn't dual POV. I haven't read this in a while. So this year, aside from finishing series, is going to involve a lot of rereading so that I can actually remember what happens before I continue on with the series. And we are in the home stretch now with numbers 17, 18, and 19. We have the sequels to Zodiac by Ramina Russell. They are Wandering Star, Black Moon, and 13 Rising. I really like astrology and I like sci-fi. I don't have very much space-based sci-fi, and so this is very special to me and I really enjoyed it. And I want to read the rest of the books, as with every other entry on this series. On this list. I've been filming for too long, so I'm just gonna quickly get through the rest of this list. And finally, entries 20, 21, and 22 on this list are The Missing of Claire de Lune, The Memory of Babel, and The Storm of Echoes by Christelle Dabos, which is the rest of the series. I think it's the Mirror Visitor series, yes, which starts off with A Winter's Promise. And I read this on recommendation of Wallace, and it was so good. I didn't expect to like this one as much as I did, but I'm glad I really enjoyed it. And I know Wallace says that the fourth book isn't really great and that I could probably just read the first three and call it there, but I'm gonna finish out the series. Hopefully, that's the plan anyway. So even if it ends on a bad note, I still really enjoyed the first book and I hope to enjoy the second and third. Hopefully I enjoy the fourth too, but reviews haven't been great. But yeah, this is the last entry on my list of 22 books I want to read in 2022. So normally when I get to the end of a video like this, I will hold up all of the books that I mentioned, but this isn't even all of them because I'm just showing the first books in the series that I'm going to be finishing out, so it's not even 22 books, and I can't even lift this many, so I'm just gonna not do that so I don't hurt myself. So I thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you in the next video, which is coming out tomorrow, and it will be 22 manga that I plan on checking out in 2022. So I'll see you there. Bye.